Hello, and welcome to Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, where we explore the behaviors and the traits and the way people act in the organizations that far define their organization. And it also defines you as an individual far greater than the products and services that you offer. And today I am your host, Yvette C. Owens of Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, and I have the great pleasure of having my very special guest and new friend, Eve Mapande, who has joined us and all the way from the United Kingdom. And so, welcome, Eve. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Eva. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've enjoyed our conversations, and we just had there's a bond there, and I love the work that you and your husband are doing. I love the work that you're doing, and we've come out of similar places in the workplace. We've either had people who we know have been damaged in the workplace, or really just had some really bad experiences, and I think part of that probably led to some of the work that you're doing. I know it led me to the work that I'm doing. So today, the topic that I thought would be helpful to talk about, and we love to hear your guidance and expertise on, is trusting after betrayal for success. So I'll say that again: trusting after betrayal for your success. It's about you and your success. And so that's why we wanted to talk about this, because sometimes we get stuck in the things that happen to us and it's only hurting us. And those people are going bye-bye. They're doing their own thing. They're rising. They're going on, and we're stuck. And so how do you start to trust and move beyond those places, specifically betrayal? So Eve, tell us some about yourself, and then jump right into that subject. What are your thoughts around that?
I am Eve Mapanda. Everyone, thank you so much for having me again. I am excited today to be here, and I hope that whatever I'm going to share, it's going to inspire someone. It's going to have an impact because that is my global mission to impact people around the world. So for me, it's my story is it's been quite a journey from getting pregnant at 16 years old, struggling with mental health challenges, and just always going through life, in terms of anxiety, just not knowing where I was going, because I think that that is the problem. A lot of people don't know where they're going in life. I had that question: what is my purpose in life? Sometimes I felt like I didn't want to be here because I just didn't understand my purpose. So, just having relationships that were toxic, ending up in situations where not just being betrayed by relationships, but i- in circumstances that I was in, I felt quite betrayed even in my environment. Um, but I took the time to start getting to know myself, getting to know, because I feel like we don't often stop to really ask ourselves, what is it that we want out of life? And we always want to do what other people are doing, or we are afraid to actually step out and step into faith to really go after what it is that we want in life, because we're scared of judgment. We're scared of people, failing. A lot of people are scared of failure, rejection as well. Um, and we live in a society where, as soon as you put yourself out there, as soon as you decide that you want to go after your dreams, there's going to be so many things that come that stop you to get into that part. So really, that's what got me into a mindset and life coach for women, because I want to help women to have unshakable confidence that no matter what, your story, that you own your story, regardless of who says what about you. You understand who you are and understand where you're going so that you can achieve your dreams. And I'm so passionate about that. In terms of what I also do, we work with my husband and a team of amazing people at the Africa Healing Foundation, which is it's an organization, non-profit organization, and our mission is to improve healthcare and also reduce poverty as well. Um, so, that work drives me because I'm able to have sort of like I'm living the dream life. I'm doing what I want to do, living life at my own terms. And I've been there. I've worked in corporate. I've in the UK. I'm quite experienced in things like care jobs that I used to do before I got my certification, my degrees, and my masters. And I think now that I have just said what I've said, I didn't know what I was gonna say in terms of the direction that I was taking this. But one thing that I think we always often mistake is, when you get that good job in the corporate field, or you go through uni and you think that you'll be earning good money and you think that it's going to make you happy. That's not how it works. If you're after purpose,
Mm,
money does not matter.
mm.
Yes, for the day-to-day living, but I believe, purpose is more important and feeling, you know, important to be able to drive and make a change in people's lives. And that is what I am living. I'm a living testimony that you can go through anything. You can be betrayed. Um, you can be excluded from society. You can make mistakes, but you can still come out shining, thriving, and being the best version of yourself.
That's awesome. I love the point that you made about unshakable confidence in yourself. That is critical, especially when we're talking about, someone's betrayed our trust, whether it's a leader, whether it's a peer, whether in your, as you mentioned, even personal relationships, someone betrayed our trust. Someone threw us under the bus, right? Or someone just had just I don't know, just seemed like they were a partner of us. And now all of a sudden they get in the company of other people and then they turn on us. Yet
Mm,
I have to still work with, I have to still be in relationship with, I have to still, at least on a very rudimentary, fundamental level, deal with that person. How do I move? How's my mindset have to change to be able to still deal with them and achieve my success? Because it's really all about, we talk about, and I even put on the post, it's about my freedom, right?
mm,
It's because when I am able to turn that around and figure out how I can still look you in the face, still smile, still get the job done well without causing something, then that's when you know you're winning. But it takes certain things to get to that point. So, what are some of the things that you think our individual can do to get over that? And I don't mean that because I know some people say, "Oh, just get over it, get by it."
mhm.
No, I know it's not that easy, and there's a process that you have to go through to get there. And so, what are some of the suggestions that you would say to people around how they could get there? They got to get beyond, okay, it happened, it's real. That betrayal really did happen. Because some people would like to say, you imagined it. Not so. You threw me under the bus. And this might not have been the first time you did it. So you have a habit of doing this, but yet I
Mhm.
still have to work with you in a really positive or a healthy fashion so I can still succeed. What are
Yeah.
some of your thoughts around that?
I think my favorite quote, I think it's by Jim Rohn. It says, if you, something along the lines of, if you don't like your situation, move, you're not a tree.
Mm,
And that is something that I have learned very well in the recent years. And the reason I wanted to point out about why it's important to know who you are is because you will know what you will tolerate. You will
right.
have boundaries in place. And a lot of people lack boundaries. We feel like we're too scared to say what we feel. We feel like we're too scared to move because that's all we know. I mean, I hear about people being in jobs for 20, 25 years. And I'm just thinking in my mind, and you can tell I've spoken to people who've been in corporate, who've been there for so long, that they know that they're not happy there. They know that they want more, but yet because of the mindset, they haven't quite understood or haven't taken the time to understand how can I move from this situation. So what tends to happen is people often just stay in that same place. They
Mhm.
stay in that place of complaining. Um, Also, people forget the one thing that is a very important is your health, your mental health. And
Mhm.
one thing I always want to ask, and the fact that it's also Suicide Awareness Month,
Mm,
is that position that you're in worth your health, your mental health?
mm,
And sometimes we have to take chances. We have to be able to be strong enough to actually make the decision to move from that and take that leap of faith. Um, and it's important to have those conversations with the people that you're working with. I, for me, it's, just to give a slight example of, I was working in an organization, and I had gone through an experience where, I was the one who was mainly leading the workshop facilitation and all that. Because I've also got mental health background, as well as being a corporate and executive coach, as well as being a mindset and life coach. So I'm certified in all areas. So they had gotten someone from an external to come and do a workshop facilitation. And I looked at that bill because obviously it was we saw the invoices and I saw the bill, and I was like, okay, hold on a minute. You know I can do this job. You know that you can, outsource me to do this. To You don't have my back in that way, as in you get someone else. You would rather support someone else who is coming outside when
mm.
you know I'm here.
Right,
From that moment, I was saying to myself, what am I doing? I had to get real.
right.
I'll say what they're paying is practically my month's salary
Wow, wow.
for what, a few sessions.
Right,
I'm there Monday to Friday giving my life away.
right, right.
So I had to really, I went home and I thought to myself, how can I move from this situation? And I started to open up my mind to think, I've got the qualifications. I've got the experience. Why can I not do this by myself?
Mm, yeah,
So from that point, I had made the decision. It was I'm going to go and I'm going to hand in my resignation and start something. Often people wait to, it's up to you whether you want to form a plan on how you get out of that situation. But I tend to think that sometimes when we sit in procrastination and preparation for so long, you actually end up doing nothing.
right, right.
So I had to take that leap of faith. I always knew that even if I come out and I take that leap of faith and I don't succeed, I can put myself back into a job.
Right, right. And so that's great. That's a fantastic alternative. That's something that we all have to contemplate, because if you're in a situation where it's repeated betrayal and it's repeatedly from those who are supposed to be helping you get along and move further, then to your point, Eve, maybe it's a removal and they're not going anywhere. So maybe you need to really evaluate your own worth and your own value. And then there's those situations where I am not ready to move, or it's happened and I need to still stay here in this position, in this spot. See you later. That was my grandson saying goodbye for school. uh, and I need to stay there. So it's like maybe then in those situations I think you need to really, one, get in a place where you can let go of all that anger and
Mhm.
get to the real emotions that you're feeling. And I remember I used to counsel young people at a grieving center where, they either lost a parent or they lost a sibling, and sometimes they could not articulate what they were feeling. So we had this room that was a padded room. It was like the basement area of the facility, and they padded all the walls with mats. They had punching bags, and we would just take the kids down there and just let them punch and get it out. They could scream, they could because those emotions are very, very real that you're feeling, and to suppress it would only cause them to hijack you at a later time, right? And so you're thinking, okay, I'll just forget it. I'll just move away from it. And then you're like in a normal conversation with somebody totally unrelated, and then all of a sudden you start going out on them, and it's like, and they're like, what in the world?
Mm,
So I would say first you need to also, if you're not able to remove yourself and you're going to have to stay in that position, or you choose to stay there, deal with the anger because that's the surface, but also be vulnerable enough to get to those emotions that are underneath that, so
mm,
you can really um, address that and time box it. So if you once you've done that, then I would say, look, don't keep rehearsing the story,
mm.
because you know how that feels. You keep rehearsing the story, that's only bringing back up and rekindling the fire that you just put out by trying to get it together, right?
Yeah.
I remember I said this just to some people the other day when I was going through my divorce, and I was like, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm
Mhm.
tired of talking about this. I know if I'm tired, I know somebody else must be tired of hearing me. And because it was just only rekindling it. So what are your thoughts around those two things? Like, really deal with the emotion, and then give yourself some time to do that, but then stop telling the story.
Mm. I think that's a very good point because one thing we tend to do is, because when we've gone through something, often we look for validation. We look for someone to
Mm,
validate those feelings. And what tends to happen is through that validation, some people get lost in terms of they then start going on to stepping into victim mentality.
mm,
So they start to have, this has happened to me. They don't do anything about it. And one of the things that I've seen like happen a lot, especially in organizations, is there's those feelings of resentment that build up,
mhm,
whereas problems can be solved so much quicker. And that is why, I did my dissertation around corporate and executive coaching. And one of the things that around communication, a lot of companies lack communication.
yeah,
And it's important to always, start you know, from the top. And I think that's why coaching is fundamental, especially for organizations, to be
mhm,
able to get people to have that dialogue. Um, because sometimes having that third party who's seeing something from a different perspective can often help to get them to a place of peace, get them to a place of communication. Because sometimes you might be there in your pain, sitting in your pain, thinking this person has done something to you, but we have to remember that that person might not even know that they've done something to you.
right,
So if you don't communicate, how do you want them to know that this has happened? And if
right,
it's someone that who knows that what's happening, they understand that this is a situation, it's it's also reflecting on what is your contribution to that situation? How have you contributed to that person treating you the way they've treated you? Because when we allow people to treat us the way they want to treat us, that's exactly what they're going to do. So if you've
exactly,
been in a space where you've not drawn your boundaries, you've not managed expectations, then it's time to call yourself out and actually ask yourself, how do I also contribute to this situation? And am I going to start speaking up for myself? Am I going to start demanding more in terms of, and I see this a lot, especially when people often want a pay rise. They're scared to actually ask for a pay rise, but yet you're working your back off and can't even talk and say that you want a pay rise.
Right.
So it's really about stepping up and stepping into your voice and understanding the value that you're bringing. Because if you are someone who, first of all, um, value, that is important. Whatever you're giving in any situation, not just organization, always give value and
Mm-hmm.
always make sure that you are not dispensable. Have something about you. What is your unique selling point that any other person cannot do?
Right.
Don't make yourself easily replaceable, because once someone knows that you are fundamental, you are important, you are a very important asset to whatever situation you're in, they're going to want to hold on to you. They're going to want to respect you. They're going to want to give you what it is that you want.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, as you're mentioning that, and while we're doing that, thank you for joining. If you've joined us, thank you. Share this, like it, make sure that this message gets out to people, because I know so many have experienced betrayal in all areas of life, not just in the workplace. And this will help them to be able to um, know how to get over it, know how to, not, again, I don't want to use that word because I know too many people throw that out, but how to move past it, how to be able to rise above it and be successful, because it's really, again, about how you can be successful. And so we've talked about knowing your value, having that unshakable, as Eve said, that unshakable confidence in who you are, dealing with that emotion, as I mentioned, dealing with it and stop rehearsing it. And then, you know what? The other thing that you mentioned is, just as I think sometimes we hold people up to too high of a expectation and too high of an esteem, everybody is a warm blooded individual. And so just because they have a title, just because someone has more experience than you, does not make them more important than you. And
Mhm.
so, as you mentioned, Eve, in the communication, it's like we need to just remember that that person is dealing with some other things, and sometimes when we are able to share how we're feeling, then that person might have to come to awakening that, you know what, I'm treating people poorly because there's some stuff in me that needs to be fixed. Because
Yeah.
people who are healed don't, and who are healthy, don't treat people poorly. Or they have less tendency to do that. I mean, we can all slip up, but they have less tendency to treat people poorly when they're in a healthy state. So if you're
Mhm.
running into somebody that just continues to treat you poorly, that continues to not exercise good decisions around you, and yet you still want to be successful, you realize that they're human beings too.
Mhm.
And the mercy that we want people to give us on our bad day, we might need to give somebody else, right? And then the other thing is, I want to, on the other coin of that, I'd like to say is, be grateful. If someone has betrayed you and now the real person has stood up, and you're not seeing the imposter anymore, be grateful that you have that information. And as you said so eloquently, Eve, maybe it's time to cut the ties. And if you can't cut the ties, at least you can guard your heart and your mind to, oh, I already saw the real you. I already know what the real you is like. And so you're not going to blindside me that way again. Right. So
Mhm.
it's like, all right, be grateful. I'm grateful that I know the real you now. And now we can all move and finish this assignment. We can all do life together or not together, because I know, and I'm grateful for this situation. And I know that'll be hard to get to when you've been, and if you don't deal with that frustration, if you don't deal with that anger, it'll be hard to get to that point. So you got to take those steps. But when you get there and you're able to say, they're just another human being and they
Mhm.
have some things they need to deal with. But now I'm grateful that I see the real you, even in your becoming, because now I know how to deal with it. What's your thoughts on that?
Um, it's it's amazing that you say that because sometimes, I was thinking about this actually yesterday, and sometimes you have to be compassionate, um, because often there's people who are going through things. I like that saying that says, kill them with kindness.
Mm.
And,
Which is not
sometimes
always easy, right? Not
it,
always easy.
it's not always easy, but it's remembering that it's not a reflection of you. It's a
Mm,
reflection of what they're feeling inside of themselves.
right.
And I've had to really, that is the one thing, if there's one thing that I can share here today that will make you kind of get over all this and start living your life for you, it's when people do something to you, it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
It's about something that they have seen in you that is that it's leaving them unsettled. Maybe it's something that they cannot do and they see you do it. Maybe you're achieving things, you're thriving, and that irritates them.
Mm,
Sometimes it's just a case of extending that compassion and actually just saying, is everything okay?
right.
you know I understand you're feeling, communication. I understand that you're feeling this, whatever you're feeling towards me. Maybe you can discuss it with me, and
Hmm.
always say it with a smile, because at the end of the day, people don't expect that. People
Right.
always expect, you to fight back and say whatever you're going to say in anger. But as
Hmm.
soon as you do that, you have reacted. You've given your power over. And that's in every situation, that's in every relationship situation. And I think that's where emotional intelligence comes in terms of how you deal with situations. Because every situation, you have the power to take control of it. And someone can only bring you down if you allow them to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you don't want to give your power away because again, it's about your success. And if we don't own our own success, nobody will. Or it'll
Mm.
just be tossed all around. You'll get somebody who does care enough about you to help you succeed, and then the next person's like, "Yeah, no, I see too much in you that you might surpass me," so they don't help you. So
That
you
is
gotta,
common.
yeah, right, right, exactly. So you've got to really own your own success. Don't look for somebody else to own it. They look for other people to help you in it, but nobody else is going to own it but you. And
Mm,
that's why it's important to be able to work through those trusting issues that we have because we've been portrayed, because someone betrayed, because someone has thrown us under the bus, because we're not just treated well. But
mm,
it's about my success. And to you made this point earlier, Eve, that I need to know what I'm going after. I need to know what my goals are. So I'm working towards them. And these negative things that happen to us, these negative situations that happen, are not going to stop me.
mm,
My future is far too important and too great for me to let your poor behavior, your poor reaction to me or a situation discard me, derail me, stop
mm,
me. And too often we let just one incident or five incidents stop us. We've got to remember, and I love it, you said it really well, that unshakable confidence in who I am and where I'm going, and that I am that unique person. So, do you have some tips on for people to know how do I wake up every morning remind with that confidence and getting that confidence going again?
So the first thing you need to do is work on yourself before anything else. Have a morning routine in place before you go to work. Are you reading? Are you working out? I find it so I don't know if it's fascinating or just puzzling when people say that they don't have time to exercise.
Mm.
And I think people really underestimate the power of exercise, because I think for me it's been the thing that has really driven me. It's the thing that has built me in terms of like a very holistic way. Um, and I think when people say they don't have time, is what you're really telling me is you don't have time to take care of your health. That is the
Mm.
first and most important thing. Take time, it doesn't have to be complicated. Go for a walk early in the morning. Um, get a book to read, meditate. If you pray, take your Bibles, meditate on the word. Um, whatever it is, just make sure you start the day right. And what always say is, when you start your day, you know, don't go straight to social media to check, what's going on, whose life is happening. Stay away from the social media. Do what you need to do. When you're going to work, whether you're going to work or whether you're going to your business, whatever it may be, you know, set intention for how you want your day to go. Um, with me, I've come to realize, and as the years have gone by, I've eliminated things that I don't need. I'm quite a minimalist, and that is even when it comes to friendships, when it comes to
Mm.
the phone numbers. My phone will hardly ring unless it's either someone who knows me, or it's my clients. I've kept my life very intentional to a point where there's too much noise going on in the world. It's
Mm.
it's being intentional of you when you're reading a message, who is it from? Do you need to read that message? And also throughout the day, when you get to work, it's ensuring that understand why you're there. People often, and this is not to attack anyone, but they complain the situation they're in, like the job, but within that job or whatever they're doing, they don't make the effort to show themselves, to show what they are capable of. I was I've always been in jobs that I didn't like, because they were not what I really wanted to do.
Mhm.
But I always gave 100%. I
Mm.
always, even when I was a single mother, I'm telling you, I would go, and I did those care jobs where you have to even clean clean pool, take care of
Mhm.
someone, wash them.
Yeah.
I would wash my clients. I would clean them
Mhm.
as if it was the best job ever.
Mhm.
I was building, I didn't know I was building my character in those
Ah.
moments, that God was preparing me for
Yeah.
something great. So confidence starts with everything that you do.
Mhm.
You can't just wake up and have the confidence
Right.
in everything that you do. So make sure in whatever situation you're in, even if you don't like the situation, give 110%.
Mhm.
And that is what is going to shine.
Right.
In that situation that you don't like, you are the one who's going to come out shining.
Right.
So I think that's my advice in terms of building your confidence, in terms of having that unshakable confidence. Every single day, give 110%. Go after the things that you want to go after. Start understanding who you are, start understanding where you want to go, and be true to yourself, because there is nothing that is so beautiful than the moment you get to know and find yourself, because
Yeah.
that's where everything begins.
Yeah, for sure. That's so great. And so that's how you can, when you've had negative experiences, how you can go beyond it because you're knowing yourself, you're giving of yourself 110%. So even if somebody's questioning it and questioning your character, you know your character, you know your truth. And this just happened to me yesterday too, because it was like I got an email and this person was really degrading my position or because she's not fulfilled her position. And I responded saying, we'll talk about this email. I'll set up time we can talk about this email. And I also reached out to another leader and said, we need to talk about this,
Mhm.
because she did it to a whole slew of people. But it's all because she's not prepared. right?
Mm.
And so those things will happen. And if I'm not secure in who I am, then I would be afraid of, well, will people believe
Mm.
this about me? Where I've already known that people have already said how well they think I'm, doing, handling this position, handling this project. And so I don't have to worry about, because to your point, Eve, I'm giving 100% to this effort. So when somebody comes and attacks me, I know
Your
it's not
word speaks for
true.
you.
Exactly, exactly. My reputation has preceded me into
Mm.
this space of negativity. And
Oh,
so that's why I don't need to worry about it. I will address it. I will address it, but I don't have to worry about the outcome because my reputation has preceded me into it.
mm.
And I'm addressing it because my success is in my hands. I'm not waiting for somebody to come to the rescue who was also on that email and say, oh, she shouldn't have never said that about you. Nope, I'm not waiting for that. I'm going to manage my own success, guarded. And now I know, like I said, once someone shows you, now I'm grateful because
Mm.
I now know her and I can move on because we are all human. And sometimes we hold people up to too high of an esteem, and we don't deal with that. Because I'm gonna tell you, when I first got that email, I flipped it over to a friend and I'm saying, I am furious right now. So that was my way of getting it out. And I didn't even, it was at the end of the day, I didn't even wait for my friend to respond. I just said, I am furious. I'm going to deal with it. And, I said other things, but I had to woosah, woosah, bring it
Ah,
down, take some deep breaths. Cause it's like, how in the world did you ever get to this point? But again, we never know what other people are dealing with. And that's why it's important for us to deal with what's happening beneath that anger that we're experiencing,
yep.
because when you do it for you, then you understand that everybody else has to do the same. So
Yep.
I am so glad that you have some thoughts on that, or
No, I think you've said everything. And one of the things that what you did there was you composed yourself. We're human at the end of the day. We're going to get angry. We're going to be upset. We're going to probably cry. But
mm-hmm,
take that time to feel those emotions because often we run away from what we're actually feeling. Take
right,
time, feel those emotions, and then get yourself together, and then have. I always believe in not doing things when I'm angry.
mm-hmm,
Something that I've worked very hard to change because I used to be this type of person that would, you would insult me and I would just get so angry and I would let that get to me. Whereas now I take the time to actually feel and then approach the situation when I'm ready. I
yeah,
don't have to rush to attend to that situation.
right,
So sometimes that's why they say silence is golden
yes,
because you can ruin relationships. You can ruin the reputation that you have worked so hard to gain by just saying one bad word.
mm-hmm,
So think about the situation that you're in. Think about, is it really worth it? And I love that, you didn't run away from that. You sent an email and you're approaching it. You're approaching the dialogue way
mm-hmm,
to let this person know that this is the situation that happened. This is how it made me feel. And then out of that dialogue it's now going to open that floor for both of you to kind of approach the situation in a
right,
logical way and objective and set a way forward than had you sent back an email and said, oh, what is this, and you know
right. Because that
so
was in my mind. Trust me, it was. But I was like, that's not the healthy way. Let me just say, we'll address this and in a separate email. We'll set up a separate time. Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, just know that people will betray you. um Betrayal, I think, and the problem is when people betray you is the trust is gone. And but one thing that has really helped me is knowing that people are also humans. You know, I probably have betrayed so many people,
Mm,
whether it was knowingly or unknowingly,
hmm.
because we often look at from a point of ourselves, but we don't look at the point from other people.
Right.
And you might have betrayed someone, but you don't know that you betrayed them.
Hmm.
So, because everyone has a certain standard, everyone has an expectation. So it's as simple as, probably I ask someone, be there by 12,
Right.
and they get there at 12:15. For me, I'm very like when it comes to time, I am very, very like on time.
I'm with you. That part.
I it really irritates me when people are late. It really, and for me, that is part of my building trust with me. Like
Right.
I need to trust you with my time. And at the
That
moment
part.
when you're not on time, that trust is broken. So when we talk about betrayal, it can be in different ways, it can be in different forms. I think a lot of people get stuck in just the relationship part of things, but betrayal is quite broad, if we
Hmm.
really think about it. So it's also looking at how, if someone is asking something of you, that means they value and they value that thing that they're asking of you.
Hmm.
So I think it's also awareness is very important. When someone is asking something of you, always ask yourself why.
Yeah.
um, if I always say, get there 12 sharp. It
Hmm.
means I value my time.
Right.
We don't hear, we only hear I get there at 12,
Right.
and you think that 12:15 or 12:30
It's
is
okay.
okay. And for me, that part of the to get that trust back is like, okay, I don't think I will be inviting you anywhere for
But as you're talking, let's talk about that trust because the whole conversation starts with trusting after betrayal. So we spend a lot of time with what does betrayal look like? How do we move past that? But at the end of it, who are we really trusting? What are we really trusting? And some are saying, I can't ever trust that person again. And maybe you shouldn't. So when I mention trusting after betrayal for success, even in this moment, I'm realizing that I'm asking myself the question, trusting whom? Trusting
Mm,
what?
mm,
Because some would assume that I'm meaning trusting after betrayal for success, mean going back to trust the person who caused the betrayal. And I'm challenging even myself in this space. No, because sometimes there's going to be many times that's not going to be, you're able to get there because, again, they're proven who they are. So I
mm,
guess you can trust who they really are as opposed to who you thought they were. But I think out of all your comments and what we've shared today, I think we need to trust us more
mm.
because when we go through those negative moments and those situations, out of it, we learn more about ourselves.
Yep.
And so can I trust myself more to, as you say, manage myself in the moment, compose myself enough in the moment to really focus on and remember my success is
Mm,
not worth me lashing out at you because of an incident.
mm,
My goals and my vision is far more valuable than me cutting you down at the knees or coming back at you because of your poor behavior.
yeah.
So I think, I don't know if, but that's what's been coming to me while we've been talking. When we talk about trust after betrayal, who are we trusting? What are we trusting?
Mm.
When are we trusting? So what do you think about that?
I think in terms of, if we don't think of it like this, first of all, trust is a very big word. um, and the first question is, do you just give it to anyone?
Mm,
Um, that's the thing. Because I think we tend to, like you said, we put people in places that they're not supposed to be. Um, and we give them that trust. We give people trust that they haven't earned. And in terms of have being able to respond to that and being able to rebuild that trust, it's really a case of what is that relationship worth.
Mm,
Wherever you are in that situation, whether it's your workplace, whether it's your family home, whether it's your whether it's your intimate relationship, what is that trust worth?
mm,
Let's get this clear. Trust, building a trust of someone, for example, who has been abusive to you, has been hitting you, um, or has, cheated on you countless times. Those are, for me, those are not negotiable. There's no trust there anymore.
right,
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that.
right,
But whereas the things, so I think it's about scaling what you're willing to tolerate in terms of what you're willing to forgive. And always remember that forgiveness is not for you. It's not for them, sorry, it's for yourself.
right.
So, what is that relationship worth to you? If it's something that probably, let's say, a breakup amongst friends, or a situation where maybe it's an intimate relationship where we just the communication went off and we decided, like, or someone said that they don't want to be with you anymore, but then they wanted to come back. That's something that you can think about, because if if that relationship meant something to you and it didn't end up in a way where it was so bad that you couldn't forgive, then being able to trust again is going to be fundamental in the growth of your relationship,
Right.
because sometimes we often need to separate from people to come back stronger. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. So, betrayal is not often always a bad thing as we think of it.
Right.
It gets us to, like you say, it first of all, learning. You're learning about this, you're learning about what you've been seeing. If you know someone's not bad, is bad for you, you've been seeing it. It's only
Right.
now you have the evidence that is right in front of you, and you are questioning why that person, it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Hold yourself accountable.
Right.
If you saw the signs, if you knew this was the case, don't expect someone to change overnight because you now have the evidence that this person is wrong. Hold yourself accountable and say, do you know, actually, I did see this has been happening. This has not just happened now. Where do you go from there? Are you
Right.
gonna save the relationship? Are you gonna hold yourself accountable? Or are you going to let it go completely?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so there's different moving parts to that.
Yeah. This has been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed our conversation around this. We could go on and on about
Oh,
this. We could do a whole series on this. Um, if you've been watching, and thank you for those who have been watching and those who are going to be on the replay, hashtag replay. If you have questions for Eve or myself, put them in the comments. We'll make sure that we see them and we address them. I know people are juggling, getting to work and things like that, or your afternoon, midday if you're in the UK. So just know that what you're feeling and have been feeling are real things, and you time back them and you give yourself time to deal with those
mm,
things. But then, as Eve has said, you got to really, at the end of the day, evaluate what's best for you. So, Eve, as we wrap this conversation up, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. What do you have coming up that you'd like the people to know about, that they could benefit from, how they can reach you, your contact information? I'll share it also in the contact on the comments after. Go ahead, share with us.
so if you want to get to know a bit more about me, I do have a YouTube channel where I deliver, content around impact, empowerment, and inspiration. So you can YouTube, it's Eve Mapanda. That's where you can reach me, or you can email me at hello@mentallymoved.com. Or if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Coach Eve Mapanda. Website is www evemapanda.com. And if you can't find me in any of those places, reach out to Yvette, who will hook you up with me.
For sure, I will definitely reach out, get you connected with Eve. I'm hoping that you see not only her physical beauty, but the internal beauty that she has and the strength that she comes with. Because her experiences have shaped her, and she's allowed it to build such good, godly, great character in her that she can pour into you as well and help you. And again, she works with women and she helps you get over, get past, get strengthened, get confidence, all that good stuff.
Mm.
And then also follow her and her husband's work as they are helping so many people who are in need. Great, great thing. Thank you again for joining me. This won't be the last time. We'll come back again and have you share with the audience as well, and maybe we can connect even physically live on one side of the ocean um, or another.
Definitely.
um, I would love to do that. So thank you for joining, and again, thank you for Laverne and others who have shared their comments, who we've been able to share them on the broadcast, who come in. And if you are listening to this, please share, and then share some more, because we don't. I know even our work is around making sure that people rise above what they've been subjected to so that
Mm.
they can be and realize their greater selves, because you deserve it. And guess what? The world needs it. So it's
Yep.
not just about what you deserve, but the world's waiting for you to show up and shine. So we want to encourage you to show up and shine. And if either of us can help you, because we both coach, if we can, either of us can help you, let us connect with us so we can get you going. Um, and for organizations that are looking for speakers, I'm a speaker. I know Eve will come in and speak as well. Let us help you grow and be more successful. Have an amazing day. Have an awesome weekend. And until next Thursday, remember, as I always say, it takes all of us to create a healthy culture where everyone can thrive. Bye bye now. Have a great day.
Bye.